William Jeffrey Klein, case number 15-1-715-0.
And Mr. Klein is appearing today, and he's represented by Mr. Brodsky, and I believe he has signed the acknowledgement of his rights. And he's appearing on the charges that will be filed will be vehicular homicide, 2 counts, and also 2 counts of vehicular assault. On June 10th, 2015, at approximately 1:32 p.m., several groups of students from Linwood High School, just east of Ferndale in Whatcom County, Washington, were walking back to school from a field trip. The students were walking eastbound on the eastbound sidewalk of Smith Road. A black Toyota 4Runner driven by William Klein was traveling eastbound on Smith Road. Just west of Gravel Line Road, the 4Runner driven by Mr. Klein left the roadway and drove up on the sidewalk, colliding with 4 of the students: Gabriel Anderson, whose date of birth was 5/13/2000, Shane Ormiston, whose date of birth was 5/30/1997. The collision killed both of these young men at the scene. 2 others were also hit: Michael Brewster, date of birth 12/31/1997, and Cole Randall, January 8/1998. Both suffered very severe injuries relating to fracture of their left femurs and also other injuries from this collision. Officers were called to the scene. The 8 people were called very quickly after this collision. And at that point, Trooper Rudy made contact with Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein was still in his vehicle. He admitted to being sleepy, and when he was asked about drug use, he indicated to daily marijuana use, as well as past use of hallucinogenic mushrooms. And at this point, officers were doing the initial assessment of him at the scene. They were also trying to get aid in and out, and trying to really preserve as much of the scene as they could. They blocked off the road, and they got assistance from the Sheriff's Department. The State Patrol was involved. And at this point, when they came back to the vehicle, the trooper noted that Mr. Klein was curled up as though he was asleep in the vehicle. He appeared to be drowsy, asleep, and just sort of slow in his reactions. Because of that, because of how he appeared, a search warrant was applied for. A search warrant was obtained to obtain a blood sample, and also he consented to having a urine sample obtained so that we could look at this and determine whether or not any drugs were being used. He certainly gave the indications of some problem because of his sleepiness, drowsiness, which was at 1:30 in the afternoon. He also had a 3-year-old child, his own child, with him in this vehicle. The scene was examined very thoroughly by the State Patrol. Mr. Klein was taken to the hospital. Those samples were taken, and he was then booked in the Whatcom County Jail.
Any comments regarding the state's policy?
I would ask the court not to find probable cause in this matter. At this point, there's no basis to that there was either reckless driving and willful or wanton disregard of persons or property, no indication of excess speed, and no indication of impairment that was brought to the court's attention.
Where did the collision take place?
Yeah, the collision actually took place on the sidewalk. The students were walking eastbound. That was the same direction the defendant was driving. His vehicle went right up over the sidewalk. And it looked like at the scene, I was at the scene also, looking at the overlap, that had to be about at least 3 feet intrusion onto the sidewalk itself. So he had popped the curb and then gone over there.
Anything further?
No.
Court finds probable cause. It's the state's position with respect to conditions of release.
Your Honor, as far as conditions of release, the state would ask that we have a certain residence that the defendant was residing at, that he not leave Whatcom County overnight without court permission, not leave the state of Washington without prior court permission, to conduct himself as a decent, upright, law-abiding citizen, not consume intoxicants of any kind, and also not use or possess any controlled substances except as anything prescribed by his physician. That he not approach, communicate directly or indirectly or by any third person, the victims' families, this would be, and also Shane Ormiston, Gabriel Anderson families, Michael Brewster, and also Randall Cole were 2 of the other victims of the vehicular assault, also in the witnesses to this. That another condition that he not drive the vehicle, and the state would ask that bail be set in the amount of $250,000.
Ben?
Your Honor, we'll be asking for release on personal cognizance. I understand this is an extremely serious crime, and I'm not minimizing that by any. These allegations are extremely serious. Mr. Klein is 34 years old. He has no criminal history whatsoever. He has lived in this county for 10 years. He is a father of a 3-year-old, married, homeowner, works for Trader Joe's, and has been a valued employee, it's my understanding, for quite some time. There is scant evidence at this point that he would A, fail to appear, or B, be a danger to anybody. This isn't a situation where there's an obvious use of alcohol or anything else that would be a danger to the public. He's being prescribed from driving, and he's being prescribed from using any drugs or impairing substances of any sort, and he would abide by those. There's no reason to believe he won't continue to appear for court, as he's never failed to appear before. He has no history, and he's an upstanding citizen of this county.
Further from the state?
Your Honor, I believe that bail is essential in this case, and I think he certainly represents a danger. If he could not operate his vehicle during the middle of the day safely and keep on the road, it was extremely horrendous that he ran over all 4 of these young people. I think he certainly represents a danger. I think $250,000 is a reasonable bail.
Is there any reason to believe that he won't appear for his
At this point,
from his past?
At this point, Your Honor, I don't have anything from his past that would be indicative of that, but I just don't know how stable he is in the community.
Anything further from the defense?
I can tell that if the court wants to hear from his wife and parent and in-laws here on video, that he does own a home here, that they have lived in this county for 10 years, so he is a stable member of this county.
What's your relationship, if any, to the defendant?
With my husband.
All right, go ahead. What is it you want the court to know on the issue of conditions of release?
Yeah, he is a wonderful father. He cares so much for life. He's just a horrible mistake. And he's not going to go anywhere. He's here with us. He has no other place to go. We want to help him. We want to take care of us. And we want to take care of him.
Taking place on him. He has the support of all of us here in Bellingham, and that he is not a flight risk at all. He'll be coming to every hearing, and we'll make sure that we with him and we support him throughout this. Thank you.
All right. Anything further from the defense in light of what's presented? Anything further from the state?
Your Honor, the only thing I would add, I think $250,000 is reasonable. Looking at the penalties that this would carry with it, I think it's extremely serious. And I think it certainly could be an interest to leave, or I think the fact of driving is a great concern to the state.
Okay. Concern to the court is the circumstances surrounding this endangered poses the community when somebody operates in this way. In order to protect the community, the court grants the conditions requested by the state and bail in the amount of $200,000. So your next court appearance is on June 19th at 9:30 a.m. Make sure you stay in touch with your lawyer and make all your court appearances.
Sir.